As a man, I feel like a lot of other people are really, really enticed on chasing women, trying to get a girlfriend, all this, believing that that will make you happier. And the short answer is it will, but the long answer is it really won't. Many people put women as a very, very large goal, and in reality, it's really not that big of a deal. I don't have much experiences with, dating. I've actually never had a girlfriend, and I feel like I'm gonna keep it that way for a while because of my experiences. But everyone is different. I'm not going to speak on my behalf when other people have 100% experienced something else. But what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of other stuff to do that's, far more important than constantly trying to get a girlfriend and being like, "Oh, dude, she's the one, bro. She's the one." At my age, right? I'm 14, so I'm definitely on the younger side. But even still, a lot of relationships do not last whatsoever. I'd say 2 months is the regular period of a relationship at my age group. I'm not gonna say that it's not possible for someone to go and date for like a couple years and be in my age group. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm just saying it's really unlikely. But continuing with what I was saying, it's really not as important as most people think it ought to be. As much as it's a very rewarding thing, as much as it is a thing that I feel like every person needs to do is at least, have one talking stage or something like that. But especially in today's world, the idea of hypergamy, especially if you guys aren't aware what that is, it's the idea that the top 10% men or something like that get to date the top 80% women. And as far-fetched as it seems, it's honestly not very ridiculous. In my own case, especially, I've seen all these really, really ugly girls want like the best looking guys. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that ugly dudes don't want good looking girls either. You know what I mean? But it's much less compared to women. Um, but it's that idea and just the whole surrounding idea of dating in general that I feel like most people should stay away from for the most part. Because if I'm going to be completely honest, it really isn't as necessary as most people claim it out to be. Like, it's a great thing, sure, but it's much better to spend your time working on yourself or, doing something that will benefit you over a long period of time rather than something that will last you 2 months and will make you happy, if that makes sense. I'm not going to say that something like that can't change you because in reality, every aspect of me that I have right now, the intelligence I'm at right now, emotionally, wouldn't be if I didn't have poor experiences. And it's not necessarily anyone's fault but mine. And I feel like it's less of a bad thing after you understand that what you get out of it is far better. But it's taught me in general to stay away from the dating aspect because it's really not as good as it seems it is. Of course, my experiences are going to be far different from anyone else's. I am a different human being. But it's really not all that different. The only thing that changes are the actual people, the experiences can be very similar. So, all I'm really trying to say is there are much more important things. There's a lot of other stuff you can do. Better yourself, become happy with who you are as a person emotionally. Depression is a very widespread issue today. And I'm not saying it's not serious, but I'm saying in a lot of cases it is very, very overworded, and it's not as serious as people come it out to be. You know, I'm not saying there aren't people out there who aren't depressed. Like, there obviously are, but the amount of people who are depressed, genuinely depressed, are way less than the people who claim to be depressed and are just lazy. You know, there are people who claim to be depressed because of stupid issues like how they look and stuff like that. And it makes sense to a point, but it's also like that's something you can change over time. The only difference is the people who actually do it are just not lazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily depression, it's more insecurity. I'm not saying I'm not insecure. I'm insecure as hell too. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. I'm just as human as anyone else is. But, you know, with the time you take to be lazy and the time you take to go and try and get a girlfriend or to be in a relationship, you can use that time and spend it wisely to genuinely improve. You know, all this time after my bad experiences, I genuinely used it to improve rather than just go off and do my own thing. Because I genuinely care about improvement. I genuinely care about being a better person. And over the span of about 3 years, I can say that I definitely have. And it's because of those bad experiences, but it's also because I took the time and actually cared about changing. So, you know, if you're out there and you're looking to get into a relationship, don't do it. There are other things that are way more worth your time than a relationship. And especially in today's world where, you know, looks maxing and all of this shit is a huge thing. You know, I have friends too who prioritized relationship over anything else, despite me telling them that it wouldn't end up well. And funny enough, it didn't end up well. I'm not gonna name anybody, of course, but if you're watching this, you know who you are. Um, I'm not saying it's like a super bad thing either. Like, it's okay, but you just chose to spend your time on that rather than something useful. Which is like, okay, I mean, sure, do what you want to do, right? It's something in general that people should probably learn instead of, you know, wasting time on things that probably will not last very long. You know, if you change as a person, that will probably last you your entire lifetime rather than spending that amount of time that it took you to change to instead prioritize a relationship. You know? So just keep this in mind. I think it's a lot more important than most people think it out to be. And I think relationships are very glorified and are not what they really are. I think that's gonna be it. I know I've been gone for a while, like a month. If I'm gonna be honest, I sort of just got like creative block. I couldn't really think of ideas, and then I had a week long camp, so I couldn't really do anything then. And then I came back, and it was my birthday, and then I got a new mic. So I was like, okay, shoot, I'll just wait until my mic comes in, and then I'll come back. So as you guys can tell, or as you guys should be able to tell, yes, I have a new microphone, and I'm trying to prioritize quality over quantity, especially with the videos as well. Um, it's really hard to think of ideas that I can, you know, talk about for a long period of time. But I will say there's more on the way. Don't know so much about daily. Maybe every other day, maybe something like that. I'm not sure, but just want everyone to know I am alive, and we're gonna be rolling all videos. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. So, hope you all have enjoyed. Um, Again, I love you all. I hope you love yourselves, and Jesus loves you. Peace out.